Today we're going to talk about the two things that every home buyer should do before going out and looking at homes to purchase. Now, the good news here is these are two very simple, easy to do steps. There's no reason anyone should be skipping these. However, especially step number one, it gets skipped more than you can imagine. If not skipped, it gets glossed over and done sort of half-baked, which can lead to major financial implications down the road. If you're new to watching this channel, my name is Jeremy House. I'm a mortgage banker, mortgage lender, and I'm happy you found us, and I hope this is helpful. So let's jump right in to step number one. It's gonna sound simple, guys, but step number one, you need to figure out how much you can afford. So when you talk to a lender or a realtor, you know what your budget is, what payment you're comfortable with. Now, that might sound silly or simple, and you might be saying, yeah, of course we would do that. I'm telling you from 20 years of experience, more often times than not, a borrower, a buyer, a client will reach out to us and they'll either have some really clean, rounded number in mind, or they'll ask us to qualify them to their max. What's the most I qualify for? Well, guys, you don't want us to qualify you to the max. You don't want to have a house that's at your max. Why? The reason that is in our world, in the mortgage industry, the way that we can qualify you to the max is so bass-backwards in most cases, and I'll explain more here in a minute, that it's going to put you in the poorhouse if we take you to your max. So it's really important that you determine what are you comfortable paying on a new mortgage, and keep in mind you're going to have a mortgage payment itself, you're going to have taxes, property taxes, homeowners insurance. In a lot of cases, you're going to have an HOA. You might also have other bills, especially if you're going from renting to owning. You're going to have some home ownership type expenses, repairs, upkeep that you probably didn't have renting. So you want to look at all of your expenses, really sit down, it doesn't take that long, an hour or two, and pencil out your actual budget. What's your income? What are your actual expenses? What are you looking at for food, for utilities, for house upkeep on this new property, mortgage, which includes taxes, insurance, and HOA. You want to look at all of that to make sure that you can afford it. A lot of times what we see as well is clients will come in and say, well, I've been told this rule of thumb that, and I've got, I don't know how many variations of this rule of thumb that's out there, but they're all terrible. But for example, borrowers say, I've been told as long as I don't go over 25% of my income on my housing expense, that I'm good. That doesn't make any sense, never has, never will. The reason is that if you have 4 people standing in a line and they all say they all make the same amount per month, let's say they make $4,000 a month. Well, 25% of that is $1,000 a month. What are the chances that all 4 of those people have the exact same expenses in their life? Childcare, auto expenses, credit cards, student loans, on and on and on. Everyone's situation is so different. That's why this budgeting piece is ultra important. And I can tell you it gets skipped so often. And guess what? Once you're standing in a house or even looking online at the beautiful pictures on the listing, it's too late. At that point, emotion is in the game, and you're going to start to backfit in what this house that your emotions like so much cost, and you're going to justify affording it. And guess what? Going back to how we qualify people to the max, lenders can get you approved for a mortgage that's more than what you can afford based on how the debt to income ratio system works on most loans. For example, many loans you can go up to a total debt to income ratio of 50%. Now, break that down, it gets a little bit scary. We can take your gross monthly income, so let's just stick with $4,000, and multiply that by 50%. So we're at $2,000. That means, including your new mortgage and all of your other existing debts that would show up on your credit report, and then if you have any child support, alimony, or separate maintenance, all of those debts per month can equal that $2,000 or the 50% of your gross. Well, guess what? Most people don't get their gross income. They get taxes taken out and they take home a net, which is much less than their gross. But lenders are using 50% of gross income to qualify people. So you're going to be at $2,000. Your net take home on $4,000 might be $2,800. It just doesn't make sense to go to your max. So you need to know what you can afford, what's comfortable for you, so you can go out in the very beginning with your real estate agent, with the proper focus of this is what I can afford and these are the homes that I'm going to look at, and you can plan going in rather than backing in and forcing a more expensive house to fit your budget. And then you're house poor, it's a bad situation. So step number one, super important. Create a budget, know what you can afford, tell your lender that. That's my number one question when we're starting a consult with a client. What can you afford? What are you comfortable with? And the worst answer is, I don't know, tell me what my max is. I'm happy to show you what you can technically qualify for, guys, but you wanna know what you can afford. It's gonna make all the difference in your home journey, your life, and everything after that if you're in a budget and a payment that works for you. So number one, create a budget. Know that we can put you in the house poor situation if you just say, qualify us to the max. So if you've got questions on how to create a budget, what should it look like? Jeremy, what do you see often that works, or what do you think is comfortable? Please reach out to us. That's what we're here for. It's a no-cost consultation. We do this every day, all the time, talk to clients and help them figure out what a budget is. We're happy to help with that, but take that step. So you can email, you can call us, whatever you need, we're here to help, but make sure you're doing what you need to do to create a budget so you know what mortgage payment works for you. Now, once you've done that, this next step is easy. You want to fill out a loan application and get pre-qualified. That dovetails perfectly with creating the budget and knowing what your monthly payment's going to be. Why? Now, when you fill out the loan application, you're going to figure out, do I qualify for that? That's one piece, obviously super important. If you don't qualify for your budget, then you've got work to do. And again, if you have some work to do on credit, structuring your loan, structuring your debts, whatever it is that you need to do to get to that point, we'll help you with that. If you're not, so in other words, if you're not ready today, part of what we do is help people plan for the future. We've got clients that we've been with for a year, 2 years, 4 years. We stick with you and help you get there. So either way, the loan application is step number 2 because it's gonna help you figure out, do I even qualify for what I want to do? If so, great. If not, then we know how to plan and we can help you on both sides of that. Now, the other big thing about the application, there are so many strategies, guys, on how to structure a loan. There's not a one-size-fits-all loan. You would be blown away at all the different strategies, structures that we can implement, even on one loan. So take a conventional loan, for example. There are all kinds of down payment assistance, mortgage insurance structure strategies, all different kinds of ways where we can tailor fit a mortgage to best fit your budget and your long-term goals. So the loan application serves multiple purposes. Number one, do you qualify? Number two, how do we structure a loan and pick a strategy or structure a strategy for you on the mortgage to meet your goals? A lot of times, guys, I hate to say this, but my competition, other lenders out there, a lot of them, it's more of a, let's get you in a loan and move on to the next. It's transactional, and it's a one-size-fits-all sort of situation. I can tell you guys, there is not a person out there that only has one option. So you want to look at it. This is true whether it's FHA, VA, conventional, jumbo. There's all kinds of different scenarios. You want to make sure you're working with your lender. Again, before you're out looking at houses and emotionally involved, you want to be working with your lender to know, A, do I qualify? B, what are the different strategies? Maybe I can get into the same house and I can find a financial strategy in a mortgage that works better for me and builds my net worth long-term better than just a cookie cutter option. So it's really, really important. Now there's a third reason that the application is important. When you're out looking at homes and you want to make an offer, that seller is going to want to know you're a serious buyer. Filling out the application and getting pre-qual, it allows us as your lender to give a pre-qual letter that basically says to the seller, hey, this is a serious buyer. They've talked to a lender. They've been reviewed by a lender to meet guidelines to make sure that their loan is going to go through and they can actually fund a loan and buy this house from you. So the third reason that application is super, super important is so that you can have a pre-qualification letter. I can tell you it is a nightmare, logistically, emotionally, all of it, if you do this the other way around. In other words, we'll get this on a regular basis and it frustrates me. We'll help, but it's just not the way to go about it. Somebody's out looking at a home and they haven't talked to a lender, they haven't created a budget, they've done none of that. They've gotten a realtor somehow to show them houses without being pre-qualified, and they fall in love with it. It's all emotional. They have no idea if they can afford that house, if it works for them, it works for their family's budget, but they know that that house feels great. They can see themselves in that home, in the living room, in the backyard. They love the kitchen. So emotionally, they're already connected. It's really hard to break that bond of emotional connection on a house once it's been forged. So we see this where people go out on a Saturday or whatever it may be, and we get a call, hey, we just looked at this house. We really love it. We need a pre-qual letter. And now we're going completely against the grain. We're going backwards, and likely that person is going to get put into a situation where they're forced to afford a house because their emotions dictated it versus planning. If you plan the other way, guys, you can still get into the house that you love, be happy, but you can do it in an organized fashion. And there isn't any cost to it, and it's not a massive time commitment. It's just a little bit of planning to make sure you're putting your ducks in a row, and you're gonna have a good home buying experience, and you're not gonna wind up regretting the mortgage you're in. You're not gonna regret being house poor. You're not gonna be cutting vacations you didn't plan on just to make sure you afford the house. All kinds of things come with proper planning. And again, it's super easy, it's no cost. I just wanted you guys to know these are the 2 steps that you really need to take if you're thinking about buying a home. So let's recap. Number 1, figure out how much you can afford. Budget all of your expenses in your unique life with your unique income, and figure out what kind of mortgage payment works. We're here again to help with that, guys. I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I can help you look at numbers, figure out how much you have to be comfortably into a new mortgage, and that's what we do. So reach out to us if you have questions. But either way, create a financial plan so you're heading towards a mortgage payment that you can afford and will be peaceful with, and can have a normal life but also purchase a house. So number 1, budget, create a plan, know what you can afford. Number 2, get pre-qualified. So fill out a loan application, talk to our team so you can figure out, A, do you qualify for that number that you're targeting? And you can also, number 2, figure out the best way to get there. Again, there are so many different ways to structure a loan. You would be amazed, and we will walk you through that. You'll see what I'm talking about, that you can arrive at a different payment for that same loan amount by tweaking the terms, the mortgage insurance, the down payment, are you using down payment assistance, loan types, all different kinds of variables. The mortgage world has gotten very open with different products and strategies that we can employ to help you make sure you're setting that loan up, and you're not just going with the first loan product that is cookie cutter and most people do. So 3rd, application, pre-qual allows you to have a pre-qual letter. That's super important when you fall in love with the house and you want to write an offer. Guys, the seller's going to want to know that you are a pre-qualified real buyer that can afford their house. They don't want to go under contract with somebody that maybe will tie their house up, take it off the market, keep other people from looking at it for 30 days only to find out, oh my gosh, they don't qualify for a loan, they can't buy it, and they have to put the house back on the market. They've lost time and money at that point. Not to mention you've lost a lot of time, money on inspections, appraisal. A lot of emotion goes into that. You don't want to have to recover or bounce back from that. So filling out the loan application, getting the pre-qual letter, it's going to serve you, it's going to serve the seller, it's going to make this whole thing work better. Again, easy 2 steps, guys. Create a budget to figure out what monthly mortgage payment is comfortable for you. Get pre-qualified, fill out the loan application, talk to a loan officer. Those are the 2 steps that everybody should be taking. First-time home buyer, repeat home buyer, low, middle, upper income level. It doesn't matter. It's super important, super easy. Guess what? None of it costs a thing, so there's no excuse for skipping it. Hope you guys find this helpful. If we can help you with anything, please reach out. We're here to assist, answer questions. I'd love to see questions and comments below. And thanks for taking the time to watch this.